Hi, I'm Lynette and welcome to my channel. Today I will be showing you swatches and a tutorial of this look right here, created with the Melt Cosmetics Muerte palette. So as you know, I'm sure Melt Cosmetics came out with a new collection celebrating one of the owners' Mexican heritage. And there are two palettes. The whole collection is absolutely beautiful. There's a highlighter that's amazing and some liquid lipsticks. And there are two palettes. One is Vida and the other is Muerte. And the Muerte palette is the one that appealed to me the most. But of course. So this is the box it comes in, which is really nice. But then you get to the palette, and the palette is so beautiful. It's got this embossed flowers and this skeleton, one half of a skull on it. The other half is the Vida palette, which is it's a lighter, brighter palette, and the palettes are magnetized and they kind of come together to create a full skull when you put them together. So really nice. Again, a lot of thought and love went into this collection. And then you have the palette, you open it up, you do get a mirror, and then you get 10 eyeshadows, 3 of which are metallic and 7 are matte, and they're very dark, grungy shades. 7 mattes, 3 shimmers, metallics works for me. And yeah, they're beautiful. The swatches, they all swatched really nicely. The mattes, so pigmented and swatched very smoothly. They're a little dry in the pan upon the touch in the pan, but when I swatched them, so smooth. And then the metallics swatched very nicely as well. Nice and impactful. So in just watching the palette, I was very excited. Now, my only other experience with Melt Cosmetics eyeshadows, I have one stack from them. It's the gunmetal stack, and I was not very impressed with it. I used it the one time, but I do plan on using it again. And I just, there was the metallic shade. There was a lot of fallout. And so I don't know. I felt like they're very overpriced for what the shadows are. And from what I've seen from previous palette shadows, because they're now making eyeshadows in palettes, from looking at other videos of other palettes like the Gemini palette, the matte they appear to be pigmented but hard to blend, and they were having issues with the smoke sessions, the metallic shades falling out and puffing up. And so I really, I've always thought that they're way overpriced for what they are. But I went into this with an open mind because this palette is so beautiful. I really wanted to try it. So I will, if you would like to hear what my thoughts are on these shadows after using them for the first time today, then please stick around after the tutorial and I will share those thoughts with you. But in the meantime, if you would like to see how I created this look today using the Melt Cosmetics Muerte palette, then keep on watching. Starting off the look with the Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer, and I'm blending this out with my Sigma E55 brush. And I used it from the crease down to the lid. I don't want it right under my eyebrow because it's so light. Now I'm going into the palette. I'm taking Lagrimas and a Sephora fluffy shadow brush, and I'm going to first tap that into the inner third of my crease and high above my crease. And I was very pleasantly satisfied to see that this shade stayed true on my eye as it is in the palette, and it showed up on my skin tone, very pigmented. Now I'm taking Duelo and a Makeup Geek defined crease brush, and I'm going to place that on the 3/4 of the way into the above my crease. And I'm making sure to go in with a light hand because these shadows are very pigmented and I don't want to go in with too much and then find it difficult to blend out. And I start off with tapping motions, and then I'm going to go in with back and forth blending motions to try to blend the two shades together and to try to blend them there onto the skin. And this shade remained pigmented and true to color, but it was patchy, I found. And right here in this area where I'm blending right now is where I experienced the patchiness. And as you'll see, I will have gone in at least 3 more times, maybe 4. I might have cut out an extra time when I went in to try to get rid of this patchiness, and it just never worked. And still trying, and just the patchiness remains, and it just wouldn't build, and I couldn't blend it out because you can still see my skin underneath. And then going in again, like this is like the 3rd or 4th time now, and still trying to place and blend and not having any success. Going back in with Lagrimas and trying to blend these 2 shades together to make sure that they're pretty seamless. When you're working with shadows this pigmented, you just have to be prepared to blend, and do some more blending. I cut out some of it for the purpose of making this video shorter, but it was a lot of blending. Now I'm going in with Corazon and a smaller pointed brush, and look at that pigmentation. And I'm going to place this in the crease, and as you can see, it's bright in the pan and bright on the brush, but trying to blend it into this green, and I'm sure there's some color theory that says you shouldn't do that. But I did it anyway. So it definitely changed color and got much darker and more like a reddish wine shade when I tried to blend it into this deeper green shadow. So that has nothing to do with the eyeshadow itself. That has to do with me and my amateur makeup eyeshadow application skills. So as you see, as I first place it, it's really bright as it is in the pan, and then it darkens up as I try to blend it. And I don't feel like I ever really blended it seamlessly in with those green shades. And you know, again, that could be the shadows because they're so pigmented, they're a little more difficult to blend. That could be trying to blend them on this really dry base. That could be trying to blend it into that darker green. There's a whole lot of factors as to why I never really got that red to blend out. Now I'm taking Noche Eterna and a Sonia Kashuk blending brush, and I'm going to place that into the outer V and slowly make my way up into the crease. And I was concerned after layering those first 2 shadows that with this pigmented shadow, it would A, not adhere, or B, be really patchy, or B or C, blend away as I tried to blend it. But surprisingly, none of those things happened. It was very pigmented. It adhered very well onto the skin on top of the other shadows. And I was able to blend it without experiencing any patchiness. And this again was just going back into the palette, tapping and building up the color, and then doing a whole lot of blending. Because, you know, I just wanted it to be seamless and I wanted it to look smooth and polished and not just a whole bunch of muddy shades piled on top of each other. So a lot of blending. Now I'm going in with Katrina and a dampened Makeup Geek foil shadow brush. And I'm going to place that on like 3/4 of my lid. And I didn't feel like I got the kind of intensity that I have seen in other people's videos. So I don't know if I didn't wet my brush enough. It's a really beautiful eyeshadow. It just wasn't giving me that oomph that I was expecting to get when I blended it onto the eyelid. And it looked like that eye was just more shimmery and more metallic than the one I was working on. So I go back in and I wet my brush some more with some more of the shadow. And this time it looked like I got more of a metallic finish. So it came out really pretty. It's a really pretty shadow. Now I'm going in with Angelito and a smaller Sephora brush. And I'm going to place that on the inner third of my lid. And this brush is also dampened. And this is just a beautiful, this gave me all the metallic shimmer that I was looking for from that blue shade. So I made sure to spray my brush adequately. And then I decided to go in and go high up into the crease and further into my inner corner, to really just brighten up this look, because it's, you know, it could have been really, really dark with that dark red and those dark blues. So this served to lighten it up a bit. And then just going back in, no additional product with that dark metallic blue to blend those shades together. Now I'm going in with NYX Blame It on Midnight, but of course, and that's going to serve as my underbrow highlight, but I also wanted to blend out the edges of that green, especially the dark green, because I didn't want there to be just like boom shadow from nowhere. So I tried to soften the edge, and here I am again adding some more green, trying to blend out that patch. And yeah, getting the same results. Went back in with more green. Oh no, this is the red. Wanted to make sure I didn't lose any of that red, even though it was really, really dark, but I still wanted you to be able to see it. And still didn't blend in seamlessly with those other shades. And now I went back in with the green, that dark green, and tried to blend out that patchiness with no success. Now I'm going in with my Rimmel Scandal Eyes Jumbo Eyeshadow Stick in the shade 12. And it's this beautiful blue color. And I'm putting that in my waterline and a little bit on the lower lash line. Now I'm taking my ABH Pro Pencil Base 2. And I'm using that as a primer for the lower lash line. And now I'm going to go in with Velorio and my Makeup Geek pencil brush. I was concerned that this shadow, being as pigmented as they are, might not adhere to the lower lash line, but that wasn't the case. It adhered very nicely, and it also blended out quite nicely as well. And I decided just to take it all the way across the lower lash line, and blending it a little bit with that blue sort of made it turn like this blue purple shade, which was pretty. And now back in with Lagrimas and my pencil, my Makeup Geek pencil brush, and putting that in the inner corner to serve as my highlight. And this is the final look. I used my Kiss lashes in the style Boudoir. And I did a black wing. I did a little wing with some black liquid liner. Now, this look is not my favorite look, but I think that has more to do with me than the palette. This palette is the first, I would have to say, that kind of intimidates me. It does intimidate me, and I think it intimidates me because when coming here to film a tutorial to use it, you know, I didn't want to, it would have been easy for me to do a monochromatic look with these greens and this gray, or with these blues, or with these reds, but you know, I kind of wanted to do something a little different, and so here we are. And I also feel like this red shade, Corazon, once I applied it, once I initially patted it onto my lid, it was red, just like it is in the palette. But then once I started blending it out, it turned into this wine color. And that probably has to do with the fact that I'm trying to blend it into these dark green, this dark green shade and this dark blue shade. So, you know, I'm gonna have to play with the palette some more and use this shadow again, and not in this way, to see if it remains true to color. Also, that shade just looks like it kind of dropped in from outer space and just kind of landed on my crease, as opposed to blending in with the rest of the shadows. I don't feel like I was able to get it to blend in with the others. Again, that might be because of trying to combine these two colors that probably should never be combined. I did experience some patchiness with Duelo, the really dark green shade here, up here, high in the crease. And you know, that could be, part of it could be from the ABH eye primer, but then a lot of it could be because when you have matte shades that are so pigmented, you do run the risk that they will be more difficult to blend. That's always at least my fear when I'm working with really super pigmented matte eyeshadows like these are. So yeah, for the most part though, I feel like the shadows applied really beautifully. Like this inner corner shade, this Lagrimas, that really light, like green shade here, just really bright and intense and showed up on my skin tone, showed up on that base really nicely. I thought the metallics were nice. I did feel like I got more oomph out of that dark blue shade, Katrina, on this eye that I did off camera as opposed to this eye that was on camera, and it may have been because I just sprayed my brush more when I used it on this eye as opposed to this eye. That's why I sprayed it again, and I felt like I did get more impact from it. I did get some fallout, especially from Angelito, the green metallic shade. I got glitter. There's like micro glitters in here, and I got it all under my eye, on my face. I have some on my chest and my neck. So you want to be careful. Even though I used it wet, you want to be careful when using the metallic shades because there is fallout, and I have found that to be consistent with Melt shadows. From my experience with the one stack that I used, that one metallic shade had incredible fallout. One of the reasons why I think I didn't use it again. So yeah, but for the most part, I think the shadows, I mean, aside from the look that I created with it, which isn't so great, the shadows themselves just very pigmented and just really pretty. Like I do think the shadows themselves are really pretty. So I'm happy to have this in my collection. I'm going to have to play with it, of course, some more. I'm really looking forward to diving into these burgundy and this red shade again, and doing monochromatic looks with these greens and blues. So let me know in the comments below if you'd be interested in seeing some more looks with this palette, because I certainly intend to use it more often than I have my Melt stack. Let me know in the comments below, have you picked up either this palette or the Vita palette or anything from the Muerte collection? Let me know. If you liked this video or found it helpful in any way, then please give it a like and consider subscribing, because I do eyeshadow tutorials, makeup hauls, swatches, and reviews here on my channel every Saturday. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.